and welcome back to another video on the JJ Think Tank. In this one, I want to talk about Talleyrand. The famous diplomat who was eternally involved in government and who was a very sly and cunning diplomat who really reshaped international relations. I think we can learn a lot from him. We can learn a lot from Talleyrand because he was the Prince of Peace, we could say. He was in a good sense. I don't think because obviously there are these negative connotations of the Prince of Peace. Yes, that Satan was the Prince of Peace. He's the fake Prince of Peace. Yes, I think there is some talk of this. Yes, Prince of Peace. Or well, Jesus as well is Prince of Peace. But then people say Prince of Peace, the fake, the Antichrist, the fake Satan. Yes, the Prince of this world. Yes, Prince of the power of the air, representing spiritual deception and opposition to God's will. Prince of Peace is Jesus. The Prince of Darkness, the world, Satan. Well, I mean, I've heard talk in the world of theology and religion that there are those who want peace, etc., but they are actually from Satan. Yes, but I don't know. I think this is a negative case of overthinking. If someone wants peace. Want more peace in the world, he is viewed as someone who is deceptive, who's trying to spiritually deceive people. It seems sometimes that whatever you do, whatever you try to do, whatever action you take, people just criticize you. And sometimes I can pick this up, yes, during discourse, during debates, during dialogue. And it's a bit annoying sometimes. Surely we want peace. We want more peace in this world. We don't want war. We've had enough war already. Surely we want some peace for a change. This is why diplomacy is so important. We need to think more about diplomacy, the art of diplomacy, because these people, the diplomats of our world, they will be important in the future, I believe. Because they are the source of peace, I believe. They are the main source of peace, because the diplomat is not the politician. The diplomat is different. He is a different social figure. And Talleyrand was the Prince of Peace. He was a master of diplomacy, a cunning master diplomat. Before he died, he actually converted to Catholicism. This was interesting, yes. Before he died, yes, he converted to Catholicism on his deathbed, I believe, or maybe even a few weeks before. I can't remember exactly now, but yes, he was a paradoxical figure. Yes, Talleyrand. He was a paradoxical figure. He was always in the shadows. Yes, next to Napoleon. He was there, guiding events, advising Napoleon, sometimes being against Napoleon, and I think the author here, Robin Harris, he's right in labelling Talleyrand the betrayer and the saviour of France. So Talleyrand, he was a paradoxical figure. He was both he betrayed France, but he saved France at the same time. So I guess this is another expression of the paradox of life. Yes, and I'd like to go into my article now, talk a bit more about Talleyrand, because I don't remember much of what I read now at the moment. But I wrote down my thoughts and my interpretation of the book here in this Medium article, and I began this article with this quote, brilliant quote by Talleyrand: Financiers flourish only when nations decline. And this is definitely true when we look at some countries. Yes, when we analyse the economies of some countries, the financial sector is too strong. The financial sector holds too much power over the destiny of a given country. And this is dangerous. This is dangerous because the economy is not just finance. The economy, uh, you know, the economy is labor. The economy is industry. The economy is agriculture, the agricultural sector, and so forth. Yes, and if financiers keep flourishing, if they are the only class that is making money, eventually the nation will crumble. Yes, the nation will collapse. The nation state will collapse. Yes, and the Talleyrand, he was definitely right here with this quote, with this statement. And so yes, Talleyrand is one of the most famous diplomats in world history, for many reasons, some more noble than others. He loved pleasure. He loved to seek pleasure, and he was immoral in many of his actions. Yes, he was. But his genius rested on being able to predict, act, and manipulate events and people around him to his and France's benefit. Ultimately, I think he always had France on his mind. He always wanted to make sure that France was safe and prosperous. He noticed that Napoleon was a bit mad, yes, and that Napoleon needed to be restrained and controlled in some sense, yes. And this is why he had such an impact, yes, on France and that period of time. And he was also a thinker, yes, who rethought how international relations should be arranged. So I think after reading this book, we can safely say that his conception of international relations was ultimately peaceful. And he promoted free trade and free markets to foster prosperity and peace among the nations. Now, I do agree in free trade and free markets in general. I think we want various economies to be connected to each other to a degree, because this is a way of building trust between nations. Yes, but at the same time, I think sometimes nations need to protect their key industries in order to survive. So I do agree also with the idea of protectionism. Sometimes you need to protect certain industries, yes. And we can see such examples constantly in history, in the past, and in the modern world as well. So for example, when you think of the tigers, yes, in East Asia, so Taiwan, Japan, South Korea, they had this economic miracle during the 60s, 70s, 80s, I believe, because they protected their key industries. The state got involved and helped private companies to build their companies, to build their business, yes. And well, such examples include LG, Life's Good, for example. LG, Samsung, in I think that's a South Korean company, Samsung, or maybe Japanese. I'm not sure, but you get my point. Yes, sometimes protectionism is required. But yeah, overall, we need some free trade. Yes, we do. We do need some free trade. This fosters trust between nations. It fosters some dialogue between them, and all in all, it's a win-win for both parties. Yes, it builds prosperity. So now the next point. So besides free trade and open markets, the Prince Talleyrand, he based his view on the conduct of foreign affairs through legitimacy, the rule of law, and restraint. This is key. And because he held his views, we can understand why he betrayed Napoleon in later years. Because he recognized that Napoleon was a bit crazy. He was crazy, wasn't he, Napoleon, man? He was crazy. He recognized his self-destruction and his illegitimate use of force. If it wasn't for Talleyrand, France would have suffered even greater defeat. But because Talleyrand operated in these diplomatic circles, he was able to save face. Well, he allowed France to save face. Yes, and France didn't lose as much as it could have. The other powers made some concessions because of Talleyrand. Yes, so yes, he showed his genius here. And this prowess of the prince in the diplomatic arena was most evident at the Congress of Vienna. So this is what I wrote. So I'll quote myself directly. Against all odds and from a position of weakness, he managed to engineer more favorable terms for France. So there's this another brilliant book, an important book about the Congress of Vienna, written by Adam Zamoyski. I have this book somewhere here. 1 second, let me just... So it's this one here. Adam Zamoyski, The Rights of Peace. I'll cover this in another video. But in this book, Talleyrand shows his deep genius. He shows his genius during this Congress of Vienna. And this is a beautiful thought, a beautiful idea of Talleyrand's, and once again it reiterated my conception of him as being a force for good. Yes, because Talleyrand noticed the importance of Poland. He emphasized how the partitions of Poland undermined the balance of power of Europe. And this is why I think at the end of the day, France is always a natural ally of Poland. I think France and actually Russia, paradoxically, France and Russia are Poland's natural allies. If you think of the major powers in Europe, it's actually France and Russia. Not the UK, not the UK. I believe the UK ultimately treat Poland in a offhand, disrespectful manner when it comes to international relations. I think this is my view. So Poland needs to create this axis between France and Russia. I think this is the best course of action for Poland to take. And again, this view of his it underlined my previous thoughts about Talleyrand, yes, which said that he understood the value and importance of legitimacy, the rule of law, and restraint, yes, and of course the self-determination that should be granted to other nations. Of course, this has to be within reason. It can't be so that any nation can then suddenly expect more and more and more and be more greedy, etc., more selfish. But the sovereignty of the nation needs to be respected, yes? So this was another key fact that I remembered from this book. And obviously it's relevant. It's relevant for me because I'm from Poland. My parents are from Poland. I'm Polish, and Poland obviously has a very beautiful but traumatic history. Yes, Poland has existed for 1,000 years. It was wiped off the map for 120 years, but it has always managed to reappear. Yes, on the scene, and you can find a lot of funny memes. Yes, of Poland kind of dying and then reappearing. Yes, your Poland ball meme. So you can find these on YouTube. They're quite funny. Anyway, moving on. So Talleyrand's interpretation of the Franco-British alliance was also based primarily on values. So here, this is also an important point because France and Britain they share a lot in common, but they do have a rivalry. Yes. And we can see this in history. There's always some tension between them. The French, they don't really like the English. Perhaps the English also. Uh, the French view the English language as a bastardization of French. And here I like it. I think English is a beautiful language. But I guess from the third person perspective, if an alien were to visit this planet, it would say that French is a more beautiful language than English. I think I think we would all agree here, right? French is a beautiful language. But anyway, going back to the Franco-British alliance. So at times, obviously, France and Britain, they cooperated. At times, they didn't. But when they did, it was primarily based on values. Yes, he recognized the importance of these values because they do share some values. I guess by values, I mean the way in which they are governed. Yes, they share a lot in common. It's kind of rule of law, moderate government. Uh, the, France and England in general, they don't fall into fascism, I think. I mean, obviously there was a revolution in France, but in general, I associate England and France less with fascism. Yes, so that's a key point. But yes, I think the main value that he viewed as being important is governance. Yes, so both England and France, they're governed in a similar manner, I think. Let me know in the comments if I'm talking nonsense, if I'm wrong in my interpretations. I'm curious. Yes, I want to know what people think, what other thinkers say about this issue. Again, so why is this important? Because if countries share a similar form of government, we will know roughly how they will behave in the international arena. We can predict their behavior. Yes, and this is important because if we can predict the behavior of a state and a nation to a large degree, then in general peace will be obtainable. If not, there's too much tension. Yes, there's too much tension. You don't know how the country will act, how the nation will act. You're unsure, and this can lead to negative outcomes for all parties. At the end of the day, yes, there needs to be some level of predictive behavior, and this is why the fact that they were both governed in the same way, or well, in general in history, is important. But here, this was interesting for me. So Talleyrand, he noticed the English attitude, yes, and character, which is actually primarily egotistical at the end of the day. I think there is some truth to this. Yes, the English ultimately they only think about their own interests. Yes, they may preach all these values, etc. But at the end of the day, I think they're led by egoism. Yes, history kind of backs this up because the English were ruthless in building their empire and building their economic wealth and dominance. Yes, so I think he's right here again about the English. So before I finish, I still have a couple more points to make. Despite this kind of perhaps liberal interpretation of international relations, he did at the same time revert to realism. He did arrive to this conclusion, but with the twist of not incurring the cost of war and avoiding a pan-European war. So I think realism without war is possible. All the nations of Europe can affirm their sovereignty without it leading to war. This is possible. I think it is possible. It's paradox. No, it's a paradox. Yes. It sounds illogical, but I think it is possible. every nation has to affirm its sovereignty, and every nation has to be allowed to build its project of sovereignty within reasonable limits. Yes, because otherwise, this pan-European war again will appear on the scene in Europe, and surely we don't want this. I mean, there's already been, yes, there's already been two wars. Yes, World War One, World War Two. And we don't want another war, obviously. So now let's before I finish, I want to present some other juicy nuggets, some concrete bits of information when it comes to the workings of international relations. And this is Talleyrand's system of international relations applied to the European scene. And there will be three features. So the first is remove mistrust between France and Austria. So Austria exists as a country at the moment. France does, obviously, as well. Separate the interests of Austria and Britain and put those two powers in opposition to Russia. So this is what Talleyrand thought, thereby guaranteeing the integrity of the Ottoman Empire. So obviously, in international relations, in the higher realms of geopolitics, diplomacy, etc., there are there's all this scheming going on. Yes, these games that countries play between each other. Yes, they're trying to outsmart each other by pitting these two countries against that one in order to build their interests here, to distract other nations, etc. Yes, but this is what Talleyrand thought at the time, and it's just an interesting thought that I thought was relevant to this video. Obviously, here what he said contradicts what I previously mentioned about the fact that Poland wants a Franco-Russian kind of alliance, yes, to counteract Germany and the UK. This is kind of my view at the moment that I'm coming towards. When we only think about the European arena, yes, because obviously there are other factors, because China is a new power, India as well, and we've got America. So obviously constantly these alliances can be rearranged, and a given country can constantly alter its course, yes, but if you were to isolate Europe, if Europe were to be isolated both from America and China, and if Europe were to only interact with Russia, for example, then I think, well, for Poland in this case, she should strive for such an arrangement. She should build an alliance with France and with Russia in order to counteract Germanic influence. Yes, so Germany and the UK and perhaps a couple of these Scandinavian countries. Yes, but this is all speculation. I mean, these alliances can quickly shift. Suddenly, for example, Poland could be in an alliance with the UK because it suits her interests, it suits Britain's interests. But then in 5 years, 10 years, again, it changes. So this chain of cause and effect, it creates a situation where alliances often shift. And we can think of dominoes, yes. So we have a sequence of dominoes. If you flick one domino, then the other dominoes start to fall, only up to a certain point, yes, and then again, another chain arises. You flick the domino again, another sequence of events takes place. So, I mean, international relations is a nice discipline. I like to think about international relations, about geopolitics. There's so many factors at play, so many different alliances that could arise. You've got all these computer games that are based on geopolitics and international relations, and I guess they're quite fun to play. Uh, I didn't really play any of them when I was young. We've got Hearts of Iron and all these games. I didn't play any of them, but I played Cossacks, for example. So Cossacks is a game based on strategy and based on international relations. So. But this was ages ago when I was a teenager. But yes, I think I'm nearly finished. Again, here Talleyrand's aim was to break up the continental powers. So I guess Britain does the same. Yes, Britain tries to break up the any emergence of a unified bloc in Europe in order to protect its interests. And I guess France is doing the same. Well, France did the same. Napoleon did the same. Talleyrand tried to do the same in his own way. But the special thing about Talleyrand is how he tried to do it without creating war. Yes. And this is why Talleyrand is such an important figure in history. Yes, he was the Prince of Peace. So I think that's all for today. Let me just read maybe a couple more sentences from my article just to make sure that I don't miss anything out here. So here, for example, I wrote down this. It required the restraint of Napoleon, so I already mentioned this before, and his acquiescence to it, which did not occur. So ultimately, Talleyrand's project failed because Napoleon was too crazy. And I guess the strategy also, it didn't take heed, referring to this previous strategy here that I mentioned, that I highlighted. The strategy didn't take heed of the fact that Prussia, I apologize, may not have remained a second-order power for long, and perhaps underrated the danger of a then British-Russian alliance. So you see, again, things can quickly shift. In general, the English have a Russophobic attitude for some reason. I don't know why. John Cleese on Twitter is constantly Russophobic. He's a bit deluded. I think he's demented. He's a demented old man now. But there were periods in history when Britain and Russia were in an alliance. Yes, there were periods in history when this was the case. So I guess Britain and England, Britain and Russia, they have a love-hate relationship. Obviously, they both try to build their empire. Well, they both did try to build their empire in the past. Now the British Empire is gone. Russia is trying to build its empire once again, and yes. So yes, that's the end of my video, I think, for today. Before I finish, I'd like to read this quote about Talleyrand. So men such as Talleyrand are like sharp instruments. It is dangerous to play with. But great wounds require great remedies. He who treats them must not fear to use the instrument that cuts the best. Austrian diplomat Count Metternich. So definitely Talleyrand was a genius when it came to diplomacy. This is one book that I recommend to discover more about Talleyrand. There's many others, yes, but this is a new biography that came out relatively recently. So that's the end of my video. I hope you enjoyed it. This one was a bit more chaotic. It wasn't so structured and organized. Perhaps I should have maybe prepared a bit more for this video, but I like to create my videos off the cuff, really, in one take without too much editing. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you found something valuable as you listened. If you made it this far, if you're still listening, I really appreciate you spending your time here on the JJ Think Tank. If you liked the video, consider liking and subscribing. It'll help me grow the channel and spread more vital information. But yes, if you like the video even more, consider donating at Buy Me a Coffee. And yes, thank you once again for listening, and I wish you all the best. Take care.